Dumelang bagaetsho ke Tebogo Ditinti ka leina mme ke a lamogela mo lenanong la me leo ke le bitsang gore Time with T se se buang fela gore ke nako le nna jaanong ke a le leboga go menagane gore le tlhophe go feta ka kwano le nketela le mpona le ntse le ndumedisa le re dumela mogaetsho go na le ntlha tse tlhano man tse ke nnantseng ke bua ka tsona gender based violence, literature, performing arts, agenda 23 and myself ke tla itlogella mantle bathong ge ke sa bui ka nna ke mang gape wa tlong go bua ka nna gompieno I want to talk about literature and performing arts. Ke simolle ka eng mara e re ke bone e re ke simolle ka literature ne re bua ka bakwadi ba dibuka re bue ka batho ba ileng gore ba itlhopetse gore man ka talente nna ke na le yona ke go idirisa gore ke bue ditori tsa batho ke ngwale ka tsona because that is what Time with T is all about, telling the stories of storytellers. And ge re bua yalo ka literature, I am currently reading this. Yeah, this was a good book month. This was a very good book month for me. Ke simolotse ka Reo Nick Mhlongo, The City Is Mine, and then ke kopa gore o ntse o lebella mo marangrang a bo Facebook yalo ge ile gore wa mo follow wa mo rata. He is about to go on a book launch. Re tla be re na le ena yalo ko Main Lane ko Exclusive Books. Date tla wa bona ne wa re tla be re le ko kopa o tle tle bathong o tlo go itisa le rena gore ntse ke bala gape this one When Secrets Become Stories, edited by Sunyathi, ke buka e leng gore e nkgobaditse thata mo moweng because man ke basadi ba bua ka dilo tse ileng gore di le da ba tlhagela mo matshelong a bona, and some stories are not easy to hear, and I can only imagine how difficult it must have been for them to tell it. Ga ke sa bua ka Su gore ona le bane leng ge ntse edita hero. So join us for the Book Nook online book club. It's going to be the second book that I'm doing for the Book Nook. So ke go invite ke go mema gore tla tlo itisa le rona information wa bona ke go itlhagisa. And I am currently reading this one. Title e ke rata thata because o ka ibitsa ka ditsela tse dintsi tse di farologaneng gore o ka nna wa re ke heaven or wa re ke he banna or he banna. So re tla utlwa yalo gore a reng he ismoloi gore ena ga e bitsa ge nna bitsa buka ga gore ke he banna o na e bitsa he banna e ka tsela e ntseng yang. Re tla be re na le ena yalo ko the South African State Theatre for the 32nd Conversations with the Author bathong the South African State Theatre ntse dira he re ntse re bala le rona buka ya bo 32 ebile ga se buka ya bo 32 because re ile rana le double bill tse pedi, so it's 32 plus 2 mara ke 32 authors and 34 books. Re itumela thata gore simoloi o nantla o dumetse gore a tlo go itisa le rona ko the South African State Theatre re ntse re mekamekana le buke ya gage so le wena ke a go mema tla ya o tlo go itisa le rona. The details ke tseo for now. That is what I have for literature, and my plea to all of us is that let's read, let's make reading fashionable, because gona le sengwe se ke se lemogileng gape ba gaetsone, our children cannot read. Bana ba rona ga ba itse go bala, and ke bua ka bana ba ileng gore ba go high school. They are going to high school the next year. They are already in high school, and mo go mmore ka se ntse re nna re sola ma teacher gore mara bana gentse ba sa itse go bala ba ntse ba irang kgotsa ba falola yang ga re itse gore bana ba fetisa ka mabaka a itseng, mara ke bua fela ka go bala, the culture of reading ya go forma sentence motho ga buisa gore wa utlwa gore sentence e man ga e tsamaeana. It sounds different to when they reading it as it would to when they're saying it in conversation. So se re bolella sentle gore bana ga ba tloela go bala, ga ba itse go bala, ga ba itse gore sentence ge se we bala mo bukeng e tshwantse gore e sound yang. So ke kopa re thuseng bana go bala, ke kopa re baleng le bona, ke kopa re ba rekeleng dibuka, ke kopa re ba joiniseng, bring them to the Book Nook, because re bua ka dilo tse leng gore ga ka bontsi di age appropriate le ge le gore mo re tla nna ntse re bua ka gender based violence yalo but ke dikgang tse leng gore bana ba rena tshwantse ba di utlwe ba fitlhile mo dijareng tseo tse leng gore bana tshwantse ba ithuta ka dilo tse dintseng yana. So have your child join the Book Nook, the online book club. Have your child start reading. Ke kopa re buiseng le bana ne, ke kopa re buiseng le bana. Danko. Kopa now re bueng ka performing arts, ba diragatsi ba ileng gore ba diragatsa metshameko e tshamekang ya ko staging, ko state theater. So mo mafela beke a fitileng, I was at the state theater and I was watching motshameko o rateng ke Obeya Opera. Well, when I had the chance to interview the writer and director, Nicole Brooks, she said that it's not, she said, I want to try and do her accent. It's not Obeya Opera. It's Obeya Opera. So, and then they made the news. They made the paper. The front page of the City Press. Yeah, Sunday. This is what they said. Erkelo baleng ipinyana ya so seba se kwetseng fa. Re ke tsenya digala se matlhong tse ke dintshitse because ring light ya reflect ga ke rate yang genketsa yalo. So it says Obeya Opera. The first Canadian musical to tour South Africa. The first Canadian musical to tour South Africa. Musical o tlhagang go lefatsheng lela go mosemawatle go moseja yalo go lefatsheng lela la Canada ga re itse gore ba nantse ba feta le Drake mo tseleng and ga ka ba botsa na go ntse ke ba interview for on set a South African State Theatre production. It takes you to different sets, different shows, different theatres, different productions in series to go Obeya Opera. Created by Nicole Brooks, Obeya Opera is a retelling of the legendary Salem witch trials from the fascinating perspective of Caribbean slave women. And when I was in an interview with them, I kept saying that I had so much trouble saying the word slave because of what it triggers and what it means and how it made me feel. And the musical director of the play, Melanie Demore, I'm not even kidding, like her last name is Demore, Melanie Demore, and I had to say it. I said Melanie Demore is so demure. Anyway, she said that the people were not slaves, they were enslaved. So then it became the phrase that I was a little bit more at ease using to say, referring to people who were enslaved as opposed to calling them slaves. So the work features the diverse ensemble of 20 women. It was an ensemble of 20 women, but the women who are currently on tour and were at the South Africa were 15. It was part of the South African State Theatre's. Okay, I'm gonna forgive the person who wrote this, because how do you have a typo on a national newspaper? They wrote Vavasati, which is Vavasati, VAVA, International Women's Festival, which has been running for 7 years. The show ended on Sunday. I just, you know what, I was taught by my mentor, who does not know that they're mentoring me, because they don't know that they're mentoring me. But my mentor always told me that it's important to correct the narrative. Vavasati has not been running for 7 years. Vavasati has been running for more than 7 years, because back in 2019, when I was a part of the Vavasati International Women's Festival, it was the 7th in 2019, And of course, we had 2020, we had 2021, and then we had, the lockdowns. And then during that year, it didn't really happen. So if we're talking 2022, 2023, 2024, it's 7, 8, 9. It's the ninth. It's the 9th, 10th, because we lost a year. We actually lost 2 years due to the lockdown, but it's the 9th. It's the 10th. It's the 10th. Because it's still running. So it's the 10th annual Vavasati International Women's Festival at the South African State Theatre. The South African State Theatre has been very consistent in producing this work and in bringing international artists to come on the stage. Bona nobody said it's about Canada, history in the making, and these are things that we want to document. And the reason why I am so passionate about Time with Tea and On Set is because we get to document such stories for those who are coming after us, and because there are those who came before us, and there is so much information that they crossed over with that they did not leave here with us, and we are struggling to find it. So now that we know better, we do better by documenting all the information for those who are going to come after us. I'm gonna find it with ease. And then I'm gonna digress just a little bit. There was a time when this one time I was at the South African State Theatre, and I was walking through down the corridors, and I had just had it wasn't even an argument. I had just had a discussion about the production of a certain episode of On Set that we was doing, because we wanted things to be a certain way. And then as I was walking down, there were two ladies. I'm not going to mention any names, but if they see this, they're going to know who they are. There were two ladies, and they were saying, why? Because I had my headsets on, I had my headphones on. One thing I always do, I will always have my headset on because I'm always listening to something. And then I suppose they thought they were speaking softly, and they said that I think that On Set is all that, and I think that my vision for On Set is all that. And I stopped because I didn't want to walk away. There is no integrity in being phony. I didn't also want to pretend like I didn't hear them when I did. I stopped and I said to them, listen, On Set is a big deal because of what we do for On Set. Telling someone's story has to be treated with the same sensitivity that they treated it when they were creating it. Therefore, it is a big deal, and I want only the best for it. And if you had seen me during my waiting period, when I was waiting for On Set, when I was waiting to do the work that I do, you would understand why I treated the way that I treated. I treated with the utmost respect and sensitivity and care that it deserves, because while I was waiting and I was patient and I was praying, I was humble. And that is how I'm going to treat the work that I have, the same way that I was the same way that I was treating the prayers is the same way that I'm going to treat the work. So it is a big deal, and it is the show that it thinks it is. It is the show that the entire team thinks it is. It is a very big deal. And I remember just when I was speaking to her, the words of Sarah Jakes Roberts popped up. You should have seen me waiting on the thing that you were hating on. And if you're going to tell the story, make sure you tell the whole story. Don't walk around saying, I had a temper when I was talking about the treatment of On Set. You have to understand that I didn't have a temper because it wasn't me having a temper. It was me being passionate, because the person who was making the decisions to change things had no business making decisions to change things. So I was the one protecting the vision. I was the one protecting what needed protecting at the time. I was the one protecting the artists to say, instead of having one person do an interview, we need the entire cast, because the show is for them and is about them and about what they do. And what artists do when they get on set is that they tell the stories that we never get to hear, the process of the behind the scenes, the process, the labor pains, and the delivery of the characters that they tell. And they explain the characters the way that we never could understand while they do it on stage. We hear what goes through their minds. It's a process that I absolutely love and adore and cherish, and I will forever protect, and I will forever speak out when somebody is trying to be silenced. And if that makes me if that makes it seem like I think onset is a big deal, then yeah, I'm on the right track, because it absolutely is a big deal. People's work is a big deal. People's dreams is a big deal. People's delivery of what the work that they've been entrusted with is a big deal. And I have had so many artists. I've had the pleasure of having so many artists come on set and say, this is the best interview I've been on, or it feels like I've just been talking to my best friend. And that is the whole point. That is the whole point. So to quote Sarah Jakes Roberts, before you start hating, you should have seen me while I was waiting on the thing that you were hating on. The waiting period was just as special, and I will never ever mistreat it or disrespect the process. So onset and conversations with the author are very big deals to me. So I thought I'd clap back, and I never usually, I'm going to sound like one of those people who say, I don't like to clap back. I never usually clap back, but here we are clapping back. I was about to say, I don't clap back. I never usually clap back, but here I am clapping back. It's not even clapping back. It's just correcting the narrative. And I remember Mabatu Mokotonyane, she's a great woman who's doing fantastic things in the women empowerment space. And she said to me, you can't stop and answer everybody who says something, who has something to say, or who has something negative to say about you. You can't. Otherwise, you're never going to reach your destination, unless if there is a teaching moment. So that was a teaching moment for me. I needed to make that person understand that this is why I react the way that I do. This is why I protect what I do the way that I protect it. This is why I protect the institution that I work for the way that I protect it, because that institution and the progress that the programs that it provides changes people's lives, documents people's stories. And the South African State Theatre has automatically turned into a research platform where people do actually come and ask and inquire for their assignments, for the work that they have to do in the industry as students. So it has become a teaching institution. It has become a research institution. It has become a learning institution, as much as it is a professional institution that stages and hosts professional working artists and doing great work for the institution. So it is a big deal. And to say that, I want to give an example. There was a time where there was a gentleman who was doing their final year in arts, and they contacted me to say they had seen a play at the South African State Theatre, and they now want to do a report on it or something like that, and they wanted to get in touch with one of the performers in that play. And they saw, because I had posted at the time that I was doing their onset, they saw online that I was doing their onset. They wanted to find out information about the characters and the development of it and the whole process. And I had the information that they needed, but I asked for permission from the performer, and I said, can I do this? And they're like, yeah, in fact, put them in touch with me. I will gladly have a conversation with them so that we can ensure that this person gets the best results that they can. Today, as I speak to you about this, they have a mentor and mentee relationship. That is a big deal. So when I say the South African State Theatre is a big deal, when I say onset is a big deal, when I say conversations with the author is a big deal, I mean it. And there are people who are benefiting from it being the big deal that it is. So I said what I said. So yeah, we made the papers, and I want to rate oh dear, Oprah, because that is what I do. And the conversation that I had with Melanie Demore, who is so demure, and Nicole Brooks, the producer, the writer and director, sorry, not producer, the writer and director, but I think, yeah, she also has a hand in producing, and Ifayomi Abiola. It was a trio of, well, they call it a throuple, a throuple of women who only had one goal in mind, and that was to produce incredible work. And it was my first time seeing a opera body of work told the way that it was told by people of color. Let me not say people of color, by black people, because often we hear opera and then we think, it's the ballet, it's white people, it's this, it's that, and there isn't in a lot of takes, and there isn't a lot, because even though sometimes there is, but opera is literally just singing the words and dancing a lot of the time, and these ladies were on stage for almost 3 hours singing their heart out, a cappella, no backing instrument, nothing, for almost 3 hours, with costume changes, with not missing their cues, with it was incredible. It was incredible to witness when you think about the amount of work that goes into and the odds that they are going against to produce this work. Nicole even said to me that some people were telling her to remove the opera in it because it's such a white thing, and then she refused. She's like, no, I'm doing this. I'm keeping the opera. So for that, where is my time with T card? I was playing cards earlier because I was trying to get my mind into, I have a deck of cards. So that is what I'm giving them. They absolutely get a 10. Get 10, guys. And I think it looks like you won. No, get 10. It will like a 10 of spades. So great work. I know that it's finished. It closed in the previous weekend and a lot of people didn't get to see it, but my wish is that you get to see something different. When you do go to see it, if you do get a chance to go see it, don't walk in there expecting Marikana or Shaka Zulu or Tamabusiu, that kind of vibe. No, walk in there expecting this for what it is. Obeya for what it is. End of story. And it's great. And we had it first at the South African State Theatre. I love saying that. I love when we do the first of things. I absolutely love it. So that is it from me for today, from this edition of Time with T. Please get reading, get to watching shows, come to the State Theatre for this. There's always something for everyone. Onlining, and then for any information, honestly, contact me. Kupa utsene mo description box o tla fitlhela di phone number tsa go joina uknuku tsenya the South African State Theatre, Ace Molloy, and so on and so forth. I am out for now. Love and light, as Ellen DeGeneres used to say. Be kind to one another. Be kind.